we always do this at an ION conference because we want to raise awareness that actually, the IETF is the process that creates the standards and helps create the internet. And actually, it was already mentioned here several times today that you have experience with deployment. If you have run into problems, if you run into issues, then provide feedback to the developers, provide feedbacks into the standards process, because this is useful for improving the quality of these. So this is really what the point of this is about. Just to say here, although the ISOC does support the IETF, the organisation of the IETF, we don't speak for the IETF. Nobody speaks for the IETF. So the slides here, I'm speaking about the IETF as an individual participant. So yeah, I think most of you are probably pretty aware of what the IETF is. So this is where a large international community of network engineers, operators and vendors, also academics who come together 3 times per year to meet, to discuss and to develop the various standards, various internet standards. Of course, some of the work never actually becomes a standard as such. Lots of things get dropped by the wayside, but this is all part of the process. But the aim is to eventually come towards producing these open standards known as RFCs. Some of these are well known, some of these are quite obscure, but they define a lot of the things that make the internet work, like the TCP/IP protocol, email, routing protocols, DNS, which we heard about today. Also the web, voice over IP, that's just some of the many that have been produced over the years. But the point is that everyone can participate in the IETF. Even if you can't make it to the meetings, you can participate in the mailing lists and in the discussions. Everybody can submit a draft document, draft standards, or a draft recommendations. And these go through the internet draft process, which then get debated and discussed either on the mailing list, through the working group chairs, for the area directors, so on. There are, well, at the last count, this may have changed since the last meeting, but about 135 working groups, usually chaired by 2 or 3 different chairs. So there's pretty much something for everybody there, if you have a particular interest. Some of these are very long-running, some of these are less long-running. Many are created, some are recharted over time. Eventually, once the work is finished, some of these are wound up. But the working groups are all organised under 7 areas. And these areas are overseen by either 2 or 3 area directors. That's a quick summary of what the areas are and some of the work that goes on underneath those areas. We won't go into that in too much depth. These slides are available, will be available on our website after this event. And that sort of gives a sort of breakdown of roughly how many working groups there are by area. So as I mentioned, meets 3 times per year, moves around the world to different locations. This is often where work gets discussed that's been discussed previously in the various mailing lists, discussion lists. So the sort of list of where the IETF has been, so it really is sort of distributed in various places around the world. The next one will be in Seoul in South Korea, and then the one following that will be in March next year in Chicago. Anyway, last IETF was held in Berlin, so very convenient for those of us in Europe. Actually had a very, very high attendance, 1,902 registered participants from 65 countries. But when I went through and had a look at this to see how many were for Romania, there were just 2, which is quite interesting. So It's very interesting because Romania is very active in the internet space. You know, we heard today that it's, you know, with IPv6 it's doing well, with DNSSEC it's doing quite well. With internet standards, there's just 2 Romanians went. I don't know if any of them were in the room, any of you in the room here, but what was interesting is there were a lot of Romanian names on that list, but from other countries. I don't know whether everyone emigrates from Romania to other countries or just likes to register as a different country, but just an interesting thing to mention there. You can also follow we do some coverage at ISOC of the IETF. You can follow that. We have various blogs, but we also do a rough guide before each IETF meeting where we try to highlight the things of interest, which we think will be of interest to our community. I already mentioned the next meeting in Korea. I'm going to skip over these working groups. These are the working groups that are relevant to Deploy360 Programme. But what I wanted to mention is that we do have an IETF Fellow Programme, which are available to help people attend IETF meetings. So you can apply for this, you can make your case, and we can provide some funding to attend these meetings. So maybe we can get the number up from 2 people in Romania. There is also another parallel program, what we call Regulators to the IETF. So this is to get essentially policymakers, communications, telecommunications, policymakers to come to the IETF and learn about the IETF standards process. So this is really to familiarise people within governments and those who make you know, the laws, perhaps, or certainly communications policy, to get them to come and attend the IETF, understand how it works, how the process works, and the aim is to sort of have a better understanding of each side in this process. So if you're interested in that, please follow the URL to that. So just to summarise, well, the IETF makes the internet work better. I think that's pretty clear. And it is a very important body for within the internet sort of standards development process. It needs participation though. It's not a closed shop. It encourages more participation, and we encourage you to take part in this as well.